Hello, Internet! In just 10 days' time, the Crown Tundra is being released. And so, instead of playing in a metagame that is redundant now, essentially Season 5 and 6, Pokemon have very kindly given us the Battle of Legends to sink our teeth into this coming weekend. So, on my channel this week, I'm going to be doing videos preparing for the Battle of Legends. I intend to record my run-through at the weekend. And then next week, up until the release of the Crown Tundra, I will be releasing my run-through the Battle of Legends as well too. So, from the actual Switch game, which would be nice to see these legends in there. But in today's video, we're going to be essentially looking at all the Pokemon we can use in this tournament. I'll be telling you what I think their best use is probably going to be for. I'm going to try and be brief as well too, because I know in the top 20 over the two videos returning Pokemon, I think I did waffle on a little bit more, so apologies about that. I don't want the boy win this one. But let's get going. Let's just scroll down here. We can see this is the official Pokemon website. You can register for the tournament anytime until it actually starts. So this is the, I believe this is the West Coast of America time PDT. As far as UK time goes, the competition will start at 1 AM on the Friday morning. So, Central European, like 2 AM Friday morning. And essentially runs through until the early hours of Monday morning. Or was it here in Europe as well too. But we've had, some recent formats where we've been allowed some restricted Pokemon. We've had, 19 and 16. But there's a few Pokemon here that we've never been able to use before in VGC. Obviously the new ones, but we've got the mythical Pokemon as well too. So we've got Melmetal, we've got Zarara Aura, Marsh Shadow, Magiana, who I gather has been a bit of an issue for singles players, and Keldeo, interesting, but also Jirachi, Celebi, and Mew as well. And I know that some of these Pokemon have had, very interesting moves in the past, like, remember the MBL, we had Jirachi with Follow Me, which it doesn't get that anymore, so, some Pokemon might have lost a few moves, some Pokemon might have gained a few moves as well, too, like the first one we're going to talk about. But, yeah, I'm just going to try and quickly, briefly run down all these Pokemon and how I think they might best be used, where they might be seen. So we're going to start off with Mewtwo, who obviously I've got a lot of history with, winning my second regional with, but it doesn't learn Gravity anymore, unfortunately, else I would be tempted to try and do something with that. But it does get Life Tuner, but it does also learn Hurricane to go all the way down here, which obviously being able to Dynamax is, air is flying rather, is a fantastic typing to be able to Dynamax and use if you are a fast defensive Pokemon. So having these powerful, special flying attacks, which is going to be increasing Mewtwo's speed even more, is brilliant. We know how good Cinderace is. Part of the reason for that is because it's got a very fast max airstream. Mewtwo, base speed of 130, can do a similar job. Obviously, it hasn't got Libero or anything like that, but it's got a very, very high special attack stat anyway, and can't be intimidated. So I can see Mewtwo working kind of like a Cinderace in a way, a fast, offensive Pokemon. It has got a lot of different coverage, so if you really wanted to, you can have like Aura Sphere or Focus Blast on there to increase your physical attackers attack stat. I'm not sure if it gets like Sludge Bomb or whatever, maybe not, so maybe you can't do the other side, but it can increase its speed, which is fantastic. Another addition that Mewtwo has got is obviously Expanding Force, so I do expect to see Mewtwo, if it is going to be used, I do expect to see on fast offensive teams, especially ones with Indeedee, I would imagine Indeedee male. So that's what I can see with Mewtwo, fast offensive, we know what it can do. Let's get on to the next one, who is Mew, which is one of the mythical Pokemon that we've never been able to use in VGC before. It can learn essentially everything, though. Like, it learns all of the TMs, all of the TRs. It's got base stats of 100 all the way across, so, the base stat total might become a bit of a theme in this episode, but not as high as Mewtwo. So I'm struggling to see where you might use Mew, because it doesn't have Fake Out anymore as well, too, as it's had in the past. It does learn Trick Room, which could be handy, and it does get Transform, which I'm not sure it's a signature move. It's probably Ditto's signature move, really, isn't it? But it does get Transform. So, Trick Room, Transform, maybe, something could happen with that. That's maybe the only reason that you'd use Mew, though. I think so we'll move swiftly on to Celebi, who has got the same typing, essentially, just the other way around, as Executor. and can learn Trick Room as well. So that is one use for potential use for Celebi. Obviously, the same base stats as Mew as well, 100 over everything. But I suppose a bit like Mew, I'm kind of struggling to see what we're going to be doing with Celebi. So, although you'll see at the end of this video, I have got one team that I thought Celebi might fit in. So I'll give that a little bit of a go in one of the videos that I upload this coming week. But yeah, aside from this, I'm not sure really how you would use Celebi. The Celebi I'm thinking about using is Nasty Plot with my Psychic and Energy Ball and whatever. But aside from Trick Room, I guess Perish Song is probably the main reason to use Celebi, because it can Trick Room itself. Trick Room teams with Gothitelle normally have Trick Room on them, and Celebi, base 100 HP, base 100 defense and special offense. Perish Song is probably the way to go if you do want to use Celebi. A dedicated Perish team is probably the way there. Jirachi next is, unfortunately it doesn't get Follow Me like I was mentioning. Is Psychic Steel, so the same typing as Bronzong and Metagross, and again it's got base 100 stats over all of them, so a total of 600. I'm pretty sure it can Trick Room. I'm just going to double check. Maybe it can't Trick Room. Let's see. Oh, it can Trick Room. Yeah, I was beginning to question myself there. It can Trick Room, and with an interesting typing, yeah, that might be a reason to use it. But at the same time, if you're going to do that, you might as well just use Bronzong, which I believe is in the game, isn't it? I haven't really seen many Bronzong, have we? But aside from a good typing, good stats, obviously not compared to some of the other Pokemon that we've got access to now, though. The main reason, I guess, to use Jirachi, if I was going to use it, would be Gravity. It's one of the few Pokemon that actually learns Gravity, naturally itself, since it's not a move tutor anymore. Gravity. There's a lot less Pokemon that can use it. So Jirachi, base speed of 100, could be paired with something just a little bit slower that's got Hypnosis. I'm not sure what really. Maybe Ninetales, or you could make a Ninetales a little bit slower than base 100. Sigilif, whatever, I don't know. But you could pair it with something with Hypnosis, and obviously maybe Flapple and whatever on the team as well there. That's maybe the way to go with Jirachi if that is a Pokemon that you do want to use. But next, we are going to increase in the base stats. We have got one of the proper restricted Pokemon now, Reshiram, who has almost a unique typing. It's Dragon Fire, but we do have, Turtonator? Is that what it's called now? So not exactly unique typing, but it is a very, very good typing, Dragon and Fire. And as it is a normal, one of the main restricted Pokemon, it has got a much higher base stat total, 680, compared to the 600 of the mythical Pokemon there. But it's a funny Pokemon, Reshiram, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't get Tailwind anymore. No, it doesn't. Just checking that. So no Tailwind, can't Trick Room or anything like that. So you would be using Reshiram as one of your main attackers, and obviously it has got some very good moves. All these restricted Pokemon have got, their signature moves like Blue Flare here and whatever. Can do a lot of damage. But the main downside for Reshiram is it's only got a base 90 speed, and if this is your main attacker, there's a decent chance that your opponent will just be moving first if they've got an offensive team as well too. If Reshiram is going to be your main form of offense, there's a decent chance that you want to be Dynamaxing Reshiram as well too, and it doesn't get a special version of a flying attack, so you can't, airstream and increase your speed that way as well. So maybe if you paired it with like a Whimsicott, or maybe a Talonflame, if you really wanted to have double typings like that, maybe that's the best way to go about it. I do imagine Zacian is going to be very common in this metagame as well, in this mini metagame over the next week. So having a very good fire type is potentially going to be decent there, since it does resist the Behemoth Blade as well, which is going to be big actually. So Reshiram maybe is a sort of a counter pick to what people might anticipate the Battle of Legends metagame to be. That's maybe the best use for Reshiram. It's got to be an offensive Pokemon. You'd have to support it with lots of speed control though. Tailwinds, maybe Icy Winds as well too. But with a decent typing, it's potentially going to be a sleeper pick for the metagame. Zekrom is next though. Reshiram's partner in generational crime. 5th generation, I believe, aren't they, these two? Electric and Dragon. Again, another very, very interesting typing. The ability is Terravolt and what's this one? Turbo Blaze. Yeah, not sure they're really going to come into too much. I mean, Mimikyu really isn't that common, and there's not many. Shedinja. Yeah, I mean, there's not really many uses for the abilities there, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, Zekrom falls into pretty much the same category as Reshiram, just without such an interesting typing. And Zekrom does have to be. Well, it doesn't have to be, actually. I don't know why I'm saying it has to be, but its best use, I guess, is as a physical attacker here as well. So, Bolt Strike and Fusion Bolt are both physical attacks, and it has got a base 150, normal attack stat. Although its special attack is 120, which is still pretty good as well. So you could actually go special if you really wanted. I'm pretty sure it gets Earth Power as well. We can see it gets a Max Quake here, so there'll be some use for it there. But it's still a base 90 speed, so all those things about speed control that I was talking about with Reshiram would apply for Zekrom too. So Tailwinds, Icy Winds, whatever. Being predominantly a physical attacker, although I suppose mixed would work as well. You are going to be at risk of being intimidated by all of the intimidates that I'm imagining are going to be around, expecting all the Zacian around every corner. So yeah, I'm not sure Zekrom is going to be one of the best Pokemon to use in this tournament, especially since you only get one, legend to go on your team. But, it's a cool Pokemon. And Kiram, I'm expecting we will get to use Kiram Black and Kiram White here as well, too. Kiram White is typically, the most used Kiram form in VGC. I used it a lot in 16, didn't I? I do like Kiram, but unfortunately, I'm not sold on Kiram for this particular tournament as well, too. Does get lots of nice moves. Obviously, it's got very powerful attacks. Turbo Blaze and Terravolt it would get as Kiram White and Black as well too. But at the same time, not quite as bad as the 90 from the other two. But it has a base 95 speed stat, which is still slower than, and this is significant because it is still slower than Urshifu. It's slower than Lunala and Solgaleo and all of that. Most of the other Pokemon, legendary Pokemon that are allowed in this will be faster than 95 as well too. So not the best speed stat. Obviously very, very offensive. 170 special attack. Higher than Mewtwo, I believe, isn't it there? But the main drawback for Kiram is its typing, really, especially because Zacian is going to be so common in this. Poor Ice type is going to be weak to Steel. So, and Ice has got a lot of weaknesses, and obviously, historically, Kiram has always been a Dragon Ice type, but it has always been, weak to lots of things. So that is the main issue with Kiram. And seeing as again you only get one pick, I'm not sure Kiram has what it takes really to be picked as your one legend in this tournament. Unfortunately, as cool as the Pokemon is, Keldeo, on the other hand, is I think one of the Pokemon that are not restricted Pokemon that have got the best odds of being used. One of the Pokemon that are allowed in this tournament that are not restricted Pokemon from the past that could be viable here. That's what I'm trying to say. It's only got a base stat total of 580, so very low if this is going to be your legend pick. Just the same as the other Swords of Justice, the Terrakion, Cobalion, and Virizion. And it's got the same, stat spread, just in a slightly different order. It is the only special attacker out of the four of them now. And so, it's the only one that really gets used of its Secret Sword, which isn't really that powerful either, really. But it's a cool-looking Pokemon. Hydro Pump, Risky Accuracy or Muddy Water, it can learn as well, too. I'm not convinced Keldeo could be that great here, although it has got a decent speed stat, and it would be a good novelty to use since we've never been able to use it before. There we go. It's rainbow green form there. There we go. But yeah, I'm not convinced it really has what it takes to be picked as your legend pick here. So let's move on to a Pokemon who I think this is going to be one of the best Pokemon, if not the best, really. Definitely one of the top 3 legends that we're going to be able to use in this, and it is Solgaleo. Now, it is interesting because Full Metal Body acts like clear body, so it can't be intimidated. That is one of the big downsides of using physical attackers, especially if you're one big legend. You're planning on that being a physical attacker. Intimidate, just brings it down to just a normal Pokemon's level attack stat essentially. No Intimidate is going to be affecting Solgaleo though, so that is a big bonus. Good typing, just like Jirachi, just like Metagross, which we can't use yet in Bronzong. But Solgaleo has got a lot going for it. Very good and accurate Steel move, and lots of bulk, and it can learn Trick Room as well too. Now, if you're going Trick Room, maybe you could just go with the Necrozma form. Trick Room is a good option for it though, but I do expect to see, especially with the typing like Solgaleo, I do expect to see Weakness Policy being the main item on it. Aside from Expanding Force, you're not be good. 113 is good special attack, but you're going to be going physical, aren't you, with Solgaleo? But yeah, it does learn Psychic Fangs as well now too, which is one thing I've been using with it when I've been testing, which is more accurate and more powerful than Zen Head, but it just hasn't got the flinch chance. Break screens as well too. So Sunsteel Strike, Psychic Fangs, and 2 other attacks are probably going to be the main. Trick Room and another attack probably going to be the main attacks, main things used on Solgaleo. But yeah, given how bulky it is, very good typing, how Weakness Policy is going to be so good, and that that I've not mentioned so far, of these Pokemon that I have mentioned that we've gone through already, they can Dynamax. There are some coming at the end, the new ones that you can't. And being able to Dynamax your Legend is fantastic, and I think Solgaleo is going to be a really, really good pick as your Legend. Lunala as well, its partner, is obviously it's a very, very good Pokemon too. I do worry a little bit, and this does apply to Solgaleo a little bit as well, but I do worry about the presence of Dragapult for these two, since they are both weak to Ghost. Lunala, though, is ×4 weak to Ghost, so Lunala really does have to worry about Dragapult a little bit more. Lunala and Solgaleo do have the base speed of 97, so they are faster than the Kirams and the Zekroms and all that lot. But they do speed tie with Urshifu, which is a little bit tragic, really. I imagine there's going to be quite a few games, determined by Solgaleo, Lunala, and Urshifu Dark speed ties. So you're gonna have to deal with that, I suppose. But yeah, Lunala's ability is amazing. The Shadow Shield, we know it does mean that, I guess it's a bit like a multi-scale, really. But it does kind of eliminate the idea of using a Weakness Policy Lunala, because you don't really want to be using your Shadow Shield on just your own, quick Weakness Policy activation. So I don't think we'll see Weakness Policy Lunala, but Lunala is bulky otherwise, and it can Trick Room, and it can Air Slash as well too. So one of the downsides of Lunala is that speed stat 97. Just a bit slower than most of the other legends we're going to be seeing. It does at least have the option, with Air Slash, if you want to put that on, to actually go for Airstreams itself as well too. It does get Moonblast too, so you would actually potentially threaten Urshifu Darks if you were using Moonblast as well too. So, and just like Mewtwo, Expanding Force I can see being a good option for it as well too. Again, maybe like Mewtwo on the faster offensive teams. Maybe not. I'm not too sure really. But Expanding Force probably going to be a good option for it. So Lunala is going to be one of the better picks, I believe, but maybe not the most common one. And Necrozma, I'm pretty sure we are going to be able to use. Here we go. This form, if I remember their names. Duskmane and Dawnwings. There we go. 2019 wasn't that long ago, Barry. But yeah, both of them, obviously Duskmane and Dawnwings. Yeah, the normal Necrozma, not really worth using. Normal Necrozma learns Gravity, so just like, and the other forms learn Gravity as well too. But so just like Jirachi, its use might be to Gravity if you want to use that. If you're using Necrozma, Gravity could be an option for this as well too. Although there's not going to be any Ultra Necrozma in this tournament, thank goodness, because Ultra Necrozma was just a little bit good, wasn't it? But yeah, both these Pokemon are very, very bulky, and let's just go down. What am I looking for? For abilities, Prism Armor. There we go. Yeah. Prism Armor is all of their abilities. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, extra bulk on both of them. But yeah, I do expect to see Duskmane used a bit more than Dawn Wings, but I have seen a team which I'll give a little mention to at the end as well that has used Dawn Wings quite well. As like an extra sort of trick room option as well. So yeah, they've got a lot of base stats as well. Again 680. All of their stats very 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 good. The speed stat of 77 does put it in range. Does put them in range of being maybe a bit too fast for Trick Room and a bit too slow to be used defensively. But we've seen in the past both of these Pokemon, especially Duskmane, used very, very well. I do expect to see Weakness Policy used on Duskmane quite a lot as well too. Weakness Policy with Trick Room, probably going to be a very, very common set. Probably going to be probably going to see quite a few of those, I would imagine. Next though, we've got a whole list of Pokemon coming up next that we've never been able to use in VGC before, and so I've done a bit of learning about them. I have with this Pokemon, I have done a little bit of a test with it with on one of the teams I'm going to show you at the end of this video too. Magearna, which I gather like in singles, was deemed to be pretty good because in singles, I suppose if your opponent gets knocked out, you get a +1, a bit like Moxie essentially, but in doubles. If your partner faints or if either of the opponents faint, you get a special attack boost as well too. Which my initial thoughts were like, yeah, I'm sure that's good, but like it's not going to be like broken or anything. But like from the testing that I've done with it, it is actually very very good. So yeah, I think Magearna has got a decent chance to be used. It hasn't quite got the base stats of the big restricted Pokemon that we've seen. Again, only base stat total of 600 because it is one of those mythicals. But all of its stats are good, aside from the speed stat of 65. But as I was using it in testing, I had Trick Room on it. It does learn Trick Room. And Steel Fairy is a good typing. And as a Trick Room setter, it is pretty good as well too. So, this bulky, it's hard to knock out. Especially with redirection as well too. There's not a lot of things that can stop Magearna setting up, aside from like a big powerful heat wave from a Charizard in the sun or something like that. There's not many things that can stop Magearna setting it up, and then being a threat in Trick Room, definitely can. It does get Shift Gear and all that kind of stuff as well too, but that raises its attack. It does raise the speed if you do want to use it in a faster, more offensive team that isn't based around Trick Room. Flow Cannon is a pretty nifty move. I didn't use that. I just had Dazzling Gleam on the one that I was testing. But yeah, just through the ability and through its typing and ability to Trick Room, I think Magearna is potentially a pretty good pick for your legend in this tournament, even though it doesn't have the base stat total of some of the others we've seen in the past. Marsh Shadow is another Pokemon that definitely intrigues me because, a very unique typing of Fighting and Ghost. We've never been able to use this thing before. One thing that did draw me towards this was the fact that its signature move, Spectral Thief, it's a good, reasonably powerful ghost attack, but it steals your opponent's boosts, and then you attack with those boosts. And we know how common, how common Dynamax is, not like it happens every game or anything, but how common it is for Pokemon to build up, so many boosts through their Dynamax. You get a lot more boosting, since Sword and Shield came out than we ever had in the past, because it's so easy to boost with Dynamaxing now. And that means there's a lot of stuff for, a lot of potential for Marsh Shadow to steal there as well too. Marsh Shadow does have pretty good stats as well. It's only got a base stat total of 600, but it's got an attack of 125, which is good, and speed of 125 as well too, which is faster than most of the other legends that are allowed here. But unfortunately, there are some downsides to Marsh Shadow, and those being, I think it is going to be, two of the few things that are going to be faster than it do definitely threaten it. Zacian is going to be common, and you can teach that Play Rough, which will just knock a Marsh Shadow out. And Dragapult, I think, is going to be quite common as well too, and obviously it's weak to Ghost as well. So good in theory, I think. Marsh Shadow, not sure how good it would be in practice. Technician, I don't think really comes into anything really here, because you're not going to be using like Shadow Punch or anything, are you? Force Palm, I suppose you could do that too, if you want to fish for paralysis or whatever. But yeah, close combat, I imagine, is going to be the main fighting attack there. But yeah, interesting Pokemon. I'm not sure we've seen much of it, but I think it's definitely got potential. Next, we've got Zarara Aura, who I've always had a hard time saying. It's such a stupid name, I think. Such a weird name, Zarara Aura. And it's fast. It's electric. It is immune to electric with its Volt Absorb, unless it's a Zekrom attacking it. That might be one use for the Terravolt. But yeah, okay. I mean, its signature attack, Plasma Fists, quite powerful and accurate. Turns normal moves into electric moves. Yeah, sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? But how often are you being max striked? How often are you being attacked by normal attacks? In VGC, not that often. I don't think it's going to be very useful, really. It does learn Fake Out. Out of all of the legends, Zarara is the only one that does get Fake Out now that that we can use in this. So yeah, I imagine if someone did want to use this, Fake Out, Plasma Fist, and a couple of other attacks, maybe Close Combat or Bounce and something, if you wanted to go the Airstream route that way. But here we go. Yeah, another base shot total of 600, very fast, 143 rather. Attack stat and special attack stat are both decent, 112, 102, but it's not that bulky at all. Can't see it being useful at all, to be completely honest. Sorry, Zarara. Melmetal is something that it's a Pokemon that I've used in Pokemon Go quite a bit, but it's a Pokemon that does intrigue me because it looks very, very powerful. We see it's got Iron Fist as its ability, which increases punching moves by 20% in power, which is good for Thunder Punch and blah blah blah, all the rest of it. But its signature attack, Double Iron Bash, also counts as a punching move, and it hits twice, and and it can flinch the opponent as well too. So you've got two 30% chances to flinch your opponent, and not only that, but 120 base power there. You've got Stab on top, and you've got Iron Fist on top. Double Iron Bash looks like looks like it's a very, very, very powerful, very interesting attack. So I imagine if you're going to be seeing a Melmetal, Double Iron Bash is probably going to be the only move that comes from it, I'd imagine. But to flinch your opponent, you do need to be faster, and so obviously using Melmetal, another base stat total of 600. You are going to be doing it in Trick Room, aren't you? So although this does have base stat total of just 600, again lower than the main restricted Pokemon, Melmetal doesn't really suffer from that because it kind of wants a low speed here. Special Offense is the only bad stat, I suppose, of 65, but a speed stat of 34 means it is definitely usable in Trick Room. So if you get Trick Room up, Double Iron Bash things, knock them out, flinch them, potentially very, very good. It does have a Gigantamax form as well too, this slightly more melted and taller version of Melmetal, with its signature G-Max Meltdown, which essentially adds the Torment effect, which is pretty cool, but I mean, +1 to your defense is pretty cool as well too. So I'm not sure you'd pick the Gigantamax over the normal one. Just unless you just wanted the novelty factor of using the Gigantamax form, I suppose. But yeah, I think Melmetal, if it's in Trick Room, it is very bulky. It can flinch. It can do a lot of damage. I think there's even though it is just one of the mythical Pokemon, I think Melmetal has potentially got a lot of potential in this little mini meta game coming up. And now we're on to the new generation. So these brand new Pokemon now, and I do imagine, yes, we're on the right form there, aren't we? I do imagine Zacian is probably going to be the most common legend that people use in this Battle of Legends tournament, just because it is new, but also it is very good. So before we have a look at anything, we'll just go down to its stats, which, with the sword, 720, which is massive. If you compare that to the others, I mean, what, we had, not Keldeo, but like Kiram, White, and Black, they are 700, and they're bulky, they're big Pokemon. If you have a look back to Mewtwo, that's, 680, most of them tend to be like 680, but with these new ones, 720, which, you might think, oh, that's really overpowered and broken and everything. Speed stat of 148, that is massive, and an attack stat of 170, and you get a +1, on your switching as well too. which is a lot of process really. But I'm going to tell you now why I don't think Zacian is going to be as good as first imagined, and that really is because, well, there's two reasons. First reason is because you cannot Dynamax Zacian, and in the few test games that I've done in this Battle of Legends, having a legend that you can Dynamax yourself just to make it that bit bulkier, just to keep it around that much longer, does seem to be quite significant. So Zacian not being able to Dynamax, I think, is a big hindrance to it. But also, with this Intrepid Sword, you know what item it's got. It's okay, +1 on the switch in is very, very good, but at the same time, there's no information mind game. At the same time, once it's got its boost, it's essentially it's not got an item, has it? Nothing useful for it there. So so what itemization is always going to be holding, the Rusty Sword, and so no surprises from Goggles or Citrus Berries or any other type of berry. Very, very one-dimensional as well too. I do imagine Behemoth Blade, obviously. I imagine Play Rough, which is one of the moves, TMs that you can give it down, or TRs, whichever. I imagine Close Combat might be a common move on it, perhaps as well too. Maybe Swords Dance and Protect. But since Zacian cannot Dynamax, I think there might be a very, very good case to put Substitute on this Pokemon as well too. In fact, Zacian, just on first impression, Zacian might be the best Pokemon to have Substitute on, because it gets its boost as it switches in, holding its sword, its Intrepid Sword, and if you can Substitute before they can get their Intimidating, you've kept that +1 safe. So I think Substitute is potentially going to be a very, very, very good move for Zacian. So I would go like, Behemoth Blade, Play Rough, Substitute, and Protect, something along those lines. But yeah, Zacian is going to be very common in this tournament. If you are going to enter, you do need to prepare for Zacian. It is going to be everywhere, isn't it? But it's going to be interesting to play. It'll be interesting to see how its inability to Dynamax is going to hinder it. Zamasunter is next, which is Fighting Steel, as opposed to Zacian's Fairy Steel. The very, very bulky cute dog thing there. Again, 720 base stat total, which does seem very good, and is very good, obviously. High speed stats, not quite as fast as the other one, or in its normal form. Very bulky, 145 in both of its defense and special defense. 130 is very good for its attack stat as well. So Zamasunter, I can see, is going to be more of a an all-rounder good Pokemon, but it's a very bulky Pokemon. You kind of feel like you want to be boosting your stats, because on bulky Pokemon, if you can get more use out of that, the better. You don't want to be sitting there doing nothing, do you? It can't, again, it can't Dynamax, so it can't be going for max Knuckles or whatever to raise its own attack stat like that. Best, you can't Swords Dance either, because it's a big shield Pokemon. It gets Howl and it gets Work Up. Like, Howl is probably its best option to raise its attack stat. You raise your partner's attack stat as well too, so that could be pretty cool. But it's a very bulky Pokemon. Close Combat is its best fighting, attack as well too. It doesn't really have any alternatives. Revenge isn't particularly great. Reversal, so you got to be using Close Combat, which obviously reduces both of your defense and special defense. A bit counterintuitive to the bulky Pokemon that it wants to be, really. So I'm not sold on Zamasunter. I'm not sure we'll see many, especially when there's Zacian available, but we'll see, won't we? And Etonatus is the last big Pokemon. Again, I believe it's got another very high base stat total, hasn't it? Oh, 690, so not quite the same as Zacian and Zamasunter, but at the same time, Etonatus can hold an item, which you might think, oh well, whatever, it can hold an item. Being able to hold an item and having the mind game of all items being available for a Pokemon is actually quite significant. It's more significant than you might imagine, I think. Pressure, not the greatest ability, does have a lot of stats. Again, though, it can't Dynamax itself. It does have some cool moves. I'm not sure Eterna Beam is the best move for it, really, especially since it can't Dynamax to use it as a big attack or whatever. It's like a Dragon Hyper Beam, essentially, but a little bit more powerful. Dynamax can, though, good alternative to Dragon Meteor or Dragon Pulse. Sludge Bomb would be very good as well too. Very, very powerful attacks. Coming from its brilliant stats as well too. Yeah, this extra form down here is irrelevant for this. But yeah, 130 is good speed. It is faster than most of the legends that are available in this tournament. It is fairly bulky, especially with its 140 HP stat and 145 special attack too. So it has got a very good stats, Etonatus. But I'm not sure how I would use it, to be honest. Like, aside from just being a very straightforward, fast special attacker, because it can't Dynamax. There's no option for like Airstreams and all that kind of stuff. So a little bit like Zacian and Zamasunter, you are kind of stuck with it being like your eggs are in the Etonatus basket in a way if you're using it, because that's your legend. But you can't Dynamax it. You can't make it bigger and bulkier and help it stick around for a little bit longer. So I'm not really sold on Etonatus yet, but we'll have to see. It has got an interesting typing. It's like the opposite of Dragalge, really, isn't it? It's the same typing, but just a lot faster, really. But we've got one more Pokemon, and that is Zaru as well too, which I think is pretty pointless, really. Just get to the point. It's a cool-looking Pokemon, cool typing, same typing as the Shiftry. But if it got Fake Out, then maybe it would be a bit more usable, like Shiftry does, like Zarara Aura does. It'd be a bit more interesting like that, but doesn't, I believe. And its signature move is Jungle Healing, which is essentially just the same as Life Dew, but it heals statuses as well, I think. Yeah. So like not really that useful, to be honest. Its ability as well, Leaf Guard, isn't really that useful. It stopped it from being statused in sunlight. I do expect to see quite a few sun teams in this thing, to be honest, but I don't think that's a green light to be using Zaru, to be honest. Its stats, again, 600 is the total, 105 is decent, 120 is pretty good as well too. It is reasonably bulky, 105, 95, but it doesn't have sword stance. It doesn't have it gets bulk up, but it doesn't really have any great ways to make itself a big threat, really. Signature move, Jungle Healing, a bit kind of pointless as well too. I think it's also, unless like you partner it with something with Rest or something like that. That's there must be some use for it, but I'm not sure it's unless I've missed something. Who knows? Yeah, I'm not sure it's like the best Pokemon to pick as your legend in this tournament. Obviously, if I have missed anything, or if you think there's an extra use for any of these Pokemon that I've talked about, then let me know in the comments as well too. I have seen that there's been a few people running like practice tournaments for this, and I did come across this blog. This person from South Korea, I believe, came first in this little practice tournament with this team using the Dawn Wings Ultra. The Dawn Wings Necrozma, not Ultra Necrozma, with the Sun team. And so, yeah, I mean, this person's done pretty much what I would do, is approached this mini meta game in the same way that I would. In that, I would use a team that I'm very, very comfortable with, i.e. use a Season 5 team with a legend in there, because I don't think there's any point in making like another brand new team just for this tournament. Literally just pick a team that you're comfortable with and you like, because it is just a one weekend tournament just for fun at the end of the day. Pick a team that you're comfortable with and like, and find the best alternative, the best legend that you can slot on there, and for it to make sense. On this team, you can see it's a Sun team, so it's got the very fast and offensive mode, but it has also got the Necrozma there over a Hatterene, essentially. You can see Hatterene being there normally, can't you? For the Trick Room and the Talk Hole and everything too. So that looks like a pretty solid team. Expect to see quite a few of those. Just going to flip over to Showdown. These are just a few teams that I've sort of quickly put together that I'm going to be testing on Showdown here on the Baz Anderson channel over the next few days. So yeah, tomorrow I'll maybe try like this sort of gravity version with Celebi over the the Flapple and Rillaboom slot. This is a nasty plot Celebi. I thought that could be quite interesting. Lunala does get Hypnosis as well, so at least on this one, this slot could make some use of gravity, or as it can't. With a Celebi, I suppose it can with if it's a Flapple normally. But yeah, I won't go into all the movesets and everything, but I have got something quite interesting on this Lunala as well too. I've got two very, slightly more standard looking teams here that I've, quite enjoyed testing out with this one, the top one here. But I'll try this one as well too with the Zacian. I'll give it a go. I'll see what it's like. We've got the magic room. Is that what they called it? Magic room team with the magic powder on the Hatterene. With I did have the Escavalier there, didn't I? On the videos that I did, magic powder with Marak, very very good. And yeah, just swapping the Escavalier out. Melmetal could be interesting there, but I've tried this team a little bit with the Magirna, and I do like that because it is another Trick Room option. And for such a Trick Room reliant team, having another very good Trick Room setter does seem to be pretty decent for that. And this is, or these two actually are, just fast defensive teams, kind of like an adaptation of my Players Cup 2 qualifier team as well, where we've got, it's essentially the Mewtwo here and the Dawnwings over the slot that I was least convinced on, the Vanilluxe or the Milotic, or whichever one I was, whichever other Pokemon I was testing at the time there. So these are the teams that I'm going to be, messing around with over the next week. But I believe I've talked for quite a while, haven't I? Again, I've talked for longer than I was intending to, but I hope I've not bored any of you. If any of you are still here now, give yourselves a pat on the back. But coming up this week, tomorrow there'll be a showdown video using these bottom two teams. The next video I'll probably try out these two teams. The next video I'll probably try out these two teams, and the next video Friday I will be trying out these two teams, and then I imagine I'll play my games in the tournament on the Saturday, and I'll be uploading my tournament run from whichever date I can. So either from the Saturday, maybe a stretch the Saturday, maybe the Sunday I'll start uploading them. Maybe the Monday if I play on Sunday instead. But they will be going on next week before the release of the Crown Tundra, which will give us a whole new tray of toys to play with. So thank you very much for sticking with me. If you are still here, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you got something from watching this. But I will see you in the coming days for some more videos with some actual Battle of Legends, teams going on. Some actual Battle of Legends battles, which is where we're going to learn more, aren't we? So thank you for joining me, and goodbye for now.